Hello from ADSOTECH, your Winshuttle partner in the Nordics. You've probably heard about the new version 11 of Winshuttle products. And if you're an experienced user, you might be thinking, what is so special about this new version? Why is it called Studio, not Transaction or Query? And should you upgrade your current 10.x version to 11? I will attempt to answer some of these questions right now. First, we'll have a quick look at the most common setup concerns, move on to the look and feel of Studio 11, and finally some highlights of the improved script features. Now that the new Studio 11 looks so different and a lot of improvements have been made, many are wondering about the possibility of parallel use of old and new versions and whether their old scripts will still work after an upgrade. Let's take a look. A note of the system requirements of Studio 11. There is now support for Office 2016 as well as Windows 10, which were missing in the early releases. Also, Office 07, 10, and 13 remain supported, just like Vista and Windows 7 and 8. Now the script compatibility. Scripts created with Transaction or Query 10.x can be opened and run in Studio 11. It is a good idea, though, to initially take backups of your old scripts, just to be on the safe side, especially if some scripts have been created using version 10.5 or older. Like said, some features have been improved in Studio 11, so for some scripts it makes sense to open them and save in the new version 11 format. Maybe some are best re-recorded, but that should be a very low percentage of your total scripts. It is possible to use 10.x and 11 in parallel, even on the same computer. However, both add-ins cannot be active in Excel at the same time. What many companies want to do is to have a user or two install and test Studio 11, while the rest of the company is still using an older version. This way, they get a feel for the new and are able to gain some experience using it before upgrading company-wide. The test users can keep old and new versions in parallel, and when moving company-wide, the older versions can be uninstalled for everyone. There's also a question of Winshuttle function module, which is an SAP transport that needs to be installed in each SAP environment where Winshuttle is used. Something for your SAP team to take care of. If your current function module in SAP is version 10.5 or older, it needs to be removed in connection to the upgrade and the new function module 11 installed. If you currently have 10.6 or 10.7 function module installed, you can leave it as it is, or you can upgrade it to version 11. Do note, though, that some new features are dependent on the new function module being present in SAP. Okay, let's move on to the user perspective, what Studio 11 is and what it looks like. First off, we mostly talk about Studio 11 instead of Transaction, Query, and Direct separately, because it is now actually all in one tool. This means that everyone can download and install the same tool, whether you are a developer or a runner using Transaction or Query or Direct or all of the above. Within this one tool, each user's assigned license defines what he or she can do: create a transaction script, only run query scripts, or create and run any kind of scripts. The tool itself is organized in menus and ribbons, much like Microsoft Office Word and Excel. Also, the Excel add-in now comes up in the ribbon and not as a side panel. The SAP connection stays viable after first logon. This means that you won't get that pop-up for the SAP credentials each time you run a script. Rather, you see all the time what environment you are connected to and can change it, of course, before clicking run. This makes it easier to run and rerun the script several times in the same environment. Let's take a quick look at the new add-in in Excel. First, I will log on to Winshuttle, and then I will see all the buttons in the ribbon. From here, I'm able to run the script. I'm not connected to SAP yet. I can click on Run directly, and I will be asked for the SAP system and credentials since I haven't established a connection yet. But I can also log on to SAP without running the script. Now, when I click on Run, I won't be asked for anything, the script will simply start running. Otherwise, the functionalities of the add-in remain the same as in version 10.x. If the template contains multiple scripts, you select the one that you want to run. You can look up values from SAP, specify the start and end rows, or use selected or filtered options, etc., etc. When you're only running an existing script, the add-in is the best way. But when a developer creates a new script, he needs to open Winshuttle STUDIO. Let's have a look at that. From the File menu, I can find the New, Open, Save, and Info functions that relate to the script. More general functions are Schedule Tasks and Log Viewer. These are to check what scripts you have run so far or scheduled for the future. Account shows your central or connect details, and Options get you to the settings of your application, like what your default folders are for your new scripts and templates. When working with the transaction script, you will see 3 menus next to File. Those are View, Map, and Run. If you go for a query script, you will see the same menus, but also 2 more, Workspace and Criteria. These are for selecting the tables and fields, and of course, setting up the search criteria. Using the menus and creating a new script, whether that is transaction or query script, is still about the same 3 steps as before: record, map, and run. For query, you don't need to record if you don't want to, and then the same steps would be select, map, and run. In any case, you can simply follow the menus from left to right, using and adding the options you need. Finally, you will be in the Run menu and able to run the script. In general, the View menu holds options for how to see the script, like if the disabled fields are shown or not. The Map menu then contains the creation of loops and conditions, setting up allowed values, and the choice between column or cell mapping. That is, features that are tightly linked to the mapping of the script. Some of these features can be set up in the Properties panel on the right side of the screen as well, if that panel is shown as per the View menu. In the Run menu, you can still add some features to the script, like taking a backup or chaining scripts together. Here you can also publish the script to the Excel file, run the script, of course, or also do problem solving with the debug, which was previously called step-by-step. The functionality remains the same, regardless of the name change from step-by-step to debug. Running debug means that an SAP window is opened and you drive the dialog by clicking the green tick, just like before. All right, let me take a few features in more detail. There are some new features in Studio 11, and others have gotten an upgrade compared to version 10.x. These features include, but are not limited to, if conditions, allowed values, require data, change scripts, and simulation. First, if conditions. Previously, there was some talk about the conditions being limited, that is, not being able to handle complex situations and combine if statements with and/or operators. In Studio 11, that is now possible. You can even set up groups of statements and use and/or operators between the groups, not only for individual statements. Allowed values is another feature that has received an upgrade. First of all, the feature is now readily available in the ribbon, when it used to be in a separate properties pane that not many knew to look for. There are also much more options for setting up the actual values, like you can define your list with do not allow these values, but everything else is okay mentality. Even several statements can be used. The feature in general is very useful when you want to limit the pool of possible values for a specific SAP field. Maybe SAP allows 100 different values, but in reality for the scenarios within this script, only 10 values should be used. If you set up these 10 values as allowed values in the script, then you eliminate the possibility of a user accidentally entering one of the 90 wrong values. Excel will still take the value in, but the script will not push it to SAP. It will bring back an error message. Required data signifies a field that cannot be left empty. Yes, you can trust the users to know this and always input data to the field, but unless the field has been defined mandatory in SAP, an empty value is still possible to input and no error message produced. If in reality you don't want to allow an empty value in a field, you can define the field in the script to require data. Now the script won't run with an empty value in that field in Excel. Linking scripts together has also been improved. We now talk about chaining of scripts rather than linking, because the complete scenario, whether that is only 2 scripts or 15 chained together, can all be seen with one glance and set up from the first script of the chain. You don't have to open each script and make an individual link to the following script. It's now enough to have that first script open, click Change Scripts in the Run menu, and add all of the following scripts to the list. There are arrow buttons that enable you to change the order of the scripts in the chain. Only the first script has to be constant and cannot be moved around. Finally, let's have a look at simulation. We have had the validation feature in version 10.x, and many users like it. The feedback from finance users, though, was always that checking if each value individually fits into its field in SAP is not enough. They would also like to check if the balance is correct and the actual posting can be processed. Validation is not able to do this. As shown here, validation will bring back success message regardless of the balance, if the values only comply with the field's SAP rules. Therefore, simulation was created. Validation still exists as an option and is good for many other areas and scripts, but for finance, simulation is better. Here values are checked against the respective SAP fields, but the posting of the document is also simulated. Nothing is saved in SAP, the document is not created when you run simulation, but if SAP is unable to post the document, let's say because of a balance error, then you get back an error message asking you to correct the document. That's it for now. We've gone through the setup, the interface and menus, and even some highlights of the improved features. If you're interested in hearing more and maybe upgrading to Studio 11, please contact ADSOTECH support team or your key account manager directly. Now, thank you for joining.